What if this tiny 2013 Chinese coin, a coin that most people would probably ignore without a second thought, is hiding a detail that could make collectors stop and take a much closer look? At first glance, it looks like nothing more than an ordinary Yuan coin. But look closely at the date, the lettering, the flower design, the rim, the edge, and the tiny details across the surface. Because when it comes to coins, the biggest mistake you can make is judging their importance by their size or face value. Some coins are common, some are scarce, and some become interesting because of a mistake made during the minting process. So before you decide that this 2013 coin is just another piece of change, stay with me, because we're going to examine this coin from every angle, uncover the history behind it, explain what collectors actually look for, and reveal what could make a normal-looking Yuan completely different from an unusual example. Welcome back to $1 Million Coin, where small coins can lead to big discoveries. The coin shown here is a Chinese Yuan coin dated 2013. The denomination is represented by the large number 1 and the Chinese character Chinese letter, which identifies the Jiao denomination. The year 2013 appears at the bottom, while the opposite side features a detailed floral design. This is a modern circulating coin from China, and although the denomination itself is small, the coin provides an excellent example of how collectors examine modern currency. The first thing we need to understand is what a jiao actually represents. China's currency is the renminbi, commonly known as the yuan. 1 yuan is divided into 10 jiao, and 1 jiao is therefore 1/10 of a yuan. That means this coin was designed for everyday transactions rather than as a special commemorative coin created primarily for collectors. It was part of ordinary circulation, which is important when we talk about rarity and value. When a coin is produced for everyday use, the mint normally makes large numbers of examples. These coins can travel through shops, markets, pockets, cash registers, drawers, and collections. Some become scratched, some become worn, some remain surprisingly well preserved, and a small number may develop characteristics that make collectors want to investigate them more closely. And that is where the real story begins. A coin does not become valuable simply because it has an interesting date. The year 2013 alone does not automatically make this Yuan rare. In fact, the normal examples of this type are generally inexpensive in collector catalogs, but that doesn't mean there is nothing worth looking for. It means we have to ask a much better question: is this particular coin different from a normal 2013 example? That question changes everything. Imagine you have two coins that look almost identical. Both say 2013. Both have the same denomination. Both have the same general design. One has been heavily circulated, while the other has sharp details and excellent surfaces. Or perhaps one of them has a genuine minting error that occurred during production. Suddenly, the two coins may no longer have the same collector interest. This is why experienced collectors don't immediately look at the price. They look at the evidence, they examine the date, they study the lettering, they look at the central design, they inspect the rim, they turn the coin over, they check the edge. They compare it with another normal example, and if something appears unusual, they investigate whether that feature was created at the mint or happened after the coin entered circulation. Look closely at the 2013 date on this coin. The numbers are positioned along the lower portion of the denomination side. When examining a date, collectors look for things such as unusual shapes, doubling, misplaced details, or characteristics that don't match known examples. But there is an important warning. A strange-looking number in a photograph does not automatically mean a rare variety. Lighting, camera angle, shadows, wear, and surface damage can all change the appearance of tiny details. The same is true for the Chinese characters. To someone unfamiliar with Chinese writing, even a small difference may appear mysterious, but collectors compare the exact shape, spacing, position, and style of the characters against known examples. If something truly unusual appears, it needs to be compared with other coins before a conclusion can be made. Now look at the floral design on the opposite side. This is one of the most recognizable visual features of the coin. Instead of placing a portrait in the center, the design uses a botanical motif with leaves and stems. The details are surprisingly fine considering the small size of the coin. This floral design isn't just decoration. It gives the coin its identity within the series and shows how much information can be placed onto a very small piece of metal. When you look closely, You can see how the raised lines and curves were transferred onto the surface during the striking process. And that brings us to one of the most fascinating subjects in coin collecting: mint errors. Every circulating coin begins its life in a mint. Metal blanks are prepared, the blanks are fed into machinery, and dies strike the designs into the metal under enormous pressure. When the production process works correctly, the result is a normal coin, but manufacturing is never absolutely perfect. Sometimes something goes wrong. A blank may not be positioned correctly. A die can develop a problem. A strike can occur in an unusual way. And occasionally, a genuine error can create a coin that looks significantly different from the standard issue. But here's the part many people get wrong. A damaged coin is not automatically an error coin. This is one of the biggest problems in online coin collecting. Someone finds a scratch, a dent, a strange discoloration, or a flattened edge, and immediately assumes the mint created it. In reality, coins can experience enormous amounts of abuse after they leave the mint. They can be dropped, hit, scratched, squeezed, rubbed against other coins, exposed to chemicals, or damaged by machines. A genuine mint error needs evidence that the unusual feature was created during manufacturing. That's why comparison is so important. If you see a strange line on the coin, compare it with the same location on several normal examples. If the feature appears on every coin, it may simply be part of the design. If it appears only on your coin, you need to determine what caused it. Does the feature have the characteristics of a striking problem? Does the metal flow around it make sense? Does the feature appear raised or in cues in a way consistent with a minting process? Or does it look like something hit the coin after it was already in circulation? These questions are far more important than simply asking, how much is this coin worth? The condition of the coin is another major factor. Imagine finding a 2013 Yuan Jiao that looks almost untouched. The original surfaces are still visible. The details are sharp. The rim is clean. The floral design remains crisp. The lettering and date have very little wear. Compare that with a coin that has spent years in circulation, with scratches, flattened details, and heavy surface wear. Even if both coins are the same date and denomination, collectors may view them differently. Condition is often described through grading, and professional grading services examine coins under controlled conditions. For a valuable variety or error, authentication and grading can become especially important because a professional assessment can help separate a genuine collectible feature from damage or alteration. But there's another important point. Never assume that a coin is valuable simply because someone online has listed a similar coin for a huge amount of money. An asking price is not the same thing as a confirmed selling price. Anyone can put an ordinary coin online and ask for an enormous amount. That doesn't mean a collector has actually paid that amount. When researching value, experienced collectors look for credible references, auction results, established dealer information, and documented transactions. So when you see a claim that a normal 2013 Yuan Jiao is worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars, don't believe the number simply because it appears in a video title or social media post. Ask what makes that particular coin different. Is there a documented error? Is there a recognized variety? Is it exceptionally graded? Is there evidence of actual sales? Without that evidence, the giant price tag is only a claim. The ordinary 2013 example shown here should therefore be treated realistically. Its date and denomination alone do not make it a $1 million coin. But the coin is still interesting because it teaches us exactly how a collector should investigate a piece of currency. And there is another detail that makes this type worth studying: its material and physical characteristics. Modern Chinese Yuan Jiao coins from this series are associated with stainless steel construction, and collector references identify examples from this period as magnetic. The coin is also quite small, making its detailed design even more impressive. Physical characteristics such as weight and diameter can help confirm whether a coin matches the expected specifications. If you have one of these coins at home and want to investigate it, a small digital scale can be useful. Carefully measure its weight and compare the result with reliable specifications for the exact type. You can also examine the diameter if you have suitable measuring equipment. But remember that small differences can occur from manufacturing tolerances, wear, or measurement accuracy. A weight difference by itself does not prove an error. The edge is worth checking too. Many beginners never look at the edge because they focus entirely on the two main faces, but the edge can sometimes provide useful clues. Look for unusual shapes, missing material, abnormal flattening, cracks, or other features that seem connected to the production process. At the same time, remember that edge damage is extremely common on circulated coins, so it must be interpreted carefully. You should also resist the temptation to clean the coin. This is one of the most important rules for anyone beginning to collect coins. A coin that looks dirty or dark may still have its original surface. Aggressive cleaning, polishing, scratching, or chemical treatment can permanently change the appearance of the metal. Instead of improving the coin, cleaning can make it less desirable to collectors. If you think you've discovered something unusual, photograph it before doing anything else. Take a clear picture of both sides. Take another picture of the edge. Then take close-up images of the unusual feature under good lighting. Avoid extreme filters or editing that could change the appearance of the coin. After that, compare it with normal examples. This is where technology can help, but technology can also create confusion. Digital images can make tiny details look much larger than they really are. Reflections can appear to be extra lines. Shadows can make letters look doubled. Scratches can look like cracks. That's why serious identification requires multiple angles and, when necessary, physical examination. Now think about the journey this little coin may have taken. It was manufactured more than a decade ago. It could have passed through countless transactions. It may have been carried in someone's pocket, placed on a shop counter, mixed with other coins, stored in a drawer, and eventually separated from circulation. Perhaps someone noticed its design and decided to keep it. Perhaps it simply ended up in a collection by chance. That is one of the things that makes modern coins fascinating. They may not be ancient, but they still document everyday life. A coin is a tiny piece of history that can move from person to person without anyone thinking about its story. Years later, collectors begin asking questions about it. Where was it made? How many were produced? What materials were used? How long did it circulate? Are there varieties? Are there errors? How many examples survive in excellent condition? Those questions turn an ordinary object into a subject of research. And this is exactly why you should never judge a coin only by its face value. The number printed on a coin tells you what it was worth as money. It does not necessarily tell you what it could be worth to a collector. But there's an equally important lesson on the other side. Don't assume every small coin is secretly worth a fortune. Good collecting requires both curiosity and skepticism. Be curious enough to look closely, but skeptical enough to demand evidence. If your 2013 Yuan looks different, investigate it. If you see a possible error, compare it. If someone tells you it's worth a huge amount, ask for proof. If the coin appears rare, consult reliable numismatic references. And if you believe the coin could genuinely have significant value, consider professional authentication before making an expensive decision. So after looking at everything we can from this coin, what should we conclude? The 2013 Chinese Yuan is a fascinating modern circulation coin with a distinctive floral design, Chinese denomination markings, and a clear 2013 date. An ordinary example should not be described as a fortune simply because of its year. However, individual coins can deserve closer attention if they possess a genuine mint error, a recognized variety, or exceptional preservation. That difference is everything. The real discovery isn't simply finding a coin with a particular date. The real discovery is finding something that separates one example from the millions of ordinary pieces that may have existed. So take another look at your own coins. Don't just glance at them. Study them, turn them over, check the date, examine the lettering, look at the flower, inspect the rim, look at the edge, compare the coin with another example. If you find something that truly doesn't make sense, that's when your investigation begins, because sometimes the most interesting coin in a collection isn't the biggest one, the oldest one, or the most beautiful one. Sometimes it's the tiny coin that everyone else ignored, and that is what makes coin collecting so exciting. You don't need to start with a treasure chest. You can start with one small coin, one magnifying glass, and one question: what am I looking at? That single question can lead you into history, art, manufacturing, economics, and the fascinating world of numismatics. The 2013 Chinese Yuan may have a small denomination, but it carries a story much bigger than its size. It represents modern Chinese currency, everyday commerce, industrial production, detailed coin design, and the process collectors use to separate ordinary coins from genuinely unusual ones. So the next time someone tells you that a coin is worthless, don't simply believe them. Look twice. Because the difference between an ordinary coin and an extraordinary discovery can sometimes be smaller than the width of a single line on its surface. If you enjoyed this deep look at the 2013 Chinese Yuan coin, make sure you subscribe to $1 Million Coin. Here, we keep searching for fascinating coins, unusual varieties, historical discoveries, and the details that most people overlook. Remember, not every coin is a hidden fortune, but every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is exactly where the real treasure begins. Thank you for watching $1 Million Coin. Keep checking your coins, keep learning, and never overlook the smallest details, because you never know when an ordinary-looking coin might give you a reason to look twice.